All right, welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneur Insider Secrets podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about a subject that's a little bit controversial. It's something that could ruffle feathers a little bit, depending on your views and your thoughts about this topic, and that is pre-selling a course before you create it. And there's good reason that there's a little bit of, we'll say, a little bit of strong feelings both ways on this, and that's because it can be done well and it can be done very unethically. It can be done very shadily, and because essentially what you're doing with your course is you're selling it before it exists. You're selling it to people before you've created it, and so somewhere along the line this can get a little sketchy. This can get a little bit plus or minus on the ethics side, because you, depending on how you do it, it can be a little shady. And some people will do it that way. Some people will do it in a way that's kind of shady, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And I think this is something I wanted to talk about today, because courses are a very powerful tool for your business. And if you have a course, it's passive income for you every time you sell a membership to it. Somebody buys your course, you get paid for it, and courses are self-study, right? People go in and they view your content. Once you've recorded the content, once you've set up the workbook and you've created all the materials and people can go through the course, you can sell that sucker 1,000 times. And it's no more work for you. People just keep buying it. You can generate passive income streams for yourself through the course, and people, and you're generating an excellent way for you to scale your business to much higher levels without any more work. Once all the work is on the front end. But the downside to having a course is, what if you do all the work and it doesn't sell? What if you do everything and then you don't get sales? And this is the tension. This is the trade-off, right? The potential is amazing. You create the course, you put it out there and you do it well. People start buying it. People start giving you money for it. And essentially what you become, and I used to jokingly say this, like password salesman. It essentially is what you become, because people are buying logins to your course. That's what they're paying for. You're like, okay, you can have a password, and you can automate all of that. So you don't even need to be there to hand out the passwords. It'll just happen for you. People put in their credit card, make a payment, an email automatically goes out with their logins. There you go. I sold it. Here, what you're selling is passwords to your course. And so it's a great way to build income. But the downside is, if you create a course that people don't want, and you didn't do the work up front to ensure that, hey, I know there's a market for this. I know people want this. This is something that I'm confident that people are going to pay for. They're going to say, I want this. This is exactly what I want to do. This is exactly what I want to have. Fulfills a strong desire and need in my life. If you don't have that confidence, if you don't have that experience, and a lot of times that comes from, you've been working with a set of clients for a while, and you've been doing work with them for an extended period of time, and you keep noticing that they keep asking you the same types of questions. And they keep asking you, I really need help with this. I'm stuck on that. I need to work on this. I don't know what to do with this. And you're like, I keep hearing the same thing over and over again. These people all get stuck in the same spot. Now you know that there's a market. Okay, now you know that there are people out there who are interested in what you're doing. And as a result, people have already expressed that. But too often people go out and create a course because they, quote unquote, think it's a good idea. They think it's a good idea. This would be a good idea. Well, it's great that you think so, but have you checked with other people? Have you done some research to see if other people would be interested in it? To ask questions, would other people be willing to buy this? Does this really strike a chord with people? Does this really engage people and cause them to want to join. And it's something to say, I would definitely pay for that. I would definitely, if you could teach me how to do those things, I would pay for that. I would do that 100%. Absolutely. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how pre-selling can alleviate some of that. Because if you haven't done that work and you don't know that there are people who are definitely interested, you don't know if people who are engaged in this and who would actually willingly spend money to do this, then you run the risk of doing a whole lot of work for very little money on the other side if you only get a very few sales. So this is a way to try and we're going to talk about ethical ways to do this, a way to try and bridge that risk factor a little bit. Because like I said, it can go one of two ways. You can sell massive amounts and get all sorts of passive income, or you can do a lot of work and get very little to no income. So we want to pull down that risk spectrum a little bit. So pre-selling can take away some of those fears. They can take away some of those problems, because what happens is you end up validating what your idea is before you actually build it. So what ends up happening is you go out and you start talking to people and you start marketing a little bit. Hey, and you have to be completely honest about this. You have to say, I'm in the process of developing a program, a course that's going to deal with X. And it's going to, I'm going to be helping people with this issue, with this problem, and I'm going to be addressing these needs. And you start marketing it a little bit. You start talking to people, you start having conversations, and you start getting real-time feedback from people. And you start going out and having conversations. You start talking to people and you start going, okay, so, and you start asking questions and you start being like, okay, do you have any questions about this? Does this meet your need? Does this really do what you're looking for? And what you're inevitably going to find, and this has been true every single time I've been involved in building a program, is that you think when you start out, you understand the material pretty well. You're like, okay, this is what you need. You need to do this, this, and this. And if you have all these pieces in place, bam, you're going to be ready to go. It's all going to be right there. It's all going to be, lined up for you. We're going to be great. And what you don't think about is there are other nuances, there are other issues, there are other problems, there are other perspectives that they're going to bring up to you. They're going to say, well, yeah, but I'm also struggling with this. And you go, I didn't think about that. I forgot about that. Or I didn't consider that. And I guess I should probably include a module on that. That's, because it's all very related. It's all very much together, but I didn't think about that. I didn't think about the fact that will also be an issue. That will also be part of the problem. Okay, so I should incorporate that. So you're getting real-time feedback. And then you're going to ask, well, what about this? Well, that's not as much of a problem. If you start hearing these themes consistently as you're marketing, you're going to go, okay, so I should probably put a little less emphasis on this, and I should emphasize these things more. I should talk about those things right there more, and you should have more, more of these types of help and more of these types of resources and training than those things, because what I'm hearing from people is that that's what they truly need, not the other thing. And you think you understand because you understand it from your perspective, and not that your perspective isn't valid, it is. But now you're getting a more well-rounded point of view. You're getting a well-rounded perspective of, hey, this is what's going on. This is the real world. This is what they're saying. And they're the customers. They're the ones with the money. They're the ones who are going to potentially buy this thing. So you want to know if this is going to meet their need more than it doesn't meet your need. And what that ends up doing is it allows you to then move forward. And as you market it, you're very honest about it. You say, okay, I'm in development of this course right now. And if you're interested, here's what I can do for you. I can sell you access to this course at a, special discount. And I can give it to you for a special deal, and with the understanding that the course will be available in 2 months. Or 6 weeks, or, don't make it too long. You don't want to put it out there too far. People just like, I don't want to pay for something that I won't have for that long. But you're now, once you start taking money, the clock is ticking, and you need to start You need to start the process of getting this thing going. And you really, and there is a little bit of pressure on you then, because you now have customers that have already given you money, but you also now have validated the idea. You now have confidence in knowing, yes, I've tapped into something. Yes, I have hit a need. I have hit something that is real here. I know that people are wanting help with this. I know much more clearly what it is that they need. And as a result of all that, I now can create this thing with much more confidence. And I have a little cash flow in my pocket. I have validation here, not just with words, but with income, that yes, people want this thing and people are willing to pay for it. And I've determined a price point that they're willing to come up with money for, even though it's not yet done. And again, some people will say, well, how can you sell something that doesn't exist? Well, let's address that elephant in the room a little bit as well. Let's say you are going to buy a car, and as you know, every year the car manufacturers come out with the newest model of car, whatever that may be. Have you ever known somebody, or have you ever gone to a car dealership, saw like the newest make and model of the car, the one that's coming out in the new model year, and said, that's the one I want. That's the car that I want. I love that new make, the new shape, the colors, the way that it's designed. I want that. And so you pre-order a car, knowing full well that the car won't be delivered for a while because it's not out yet. Or have you ever gone to a store and saw something that they had and pre-ordered it, or gone onto someone's website and an e-commerce site and pre-ordered a product? This type of thing does happen. It happens more often than not, but you just have to be very upfront about it. You have to be very honest about it, and you have to market it in such a way that they know that this will be available at this. We're expecting delivery of this on this date. But now, again, that puts a little pressure on you to make sure that you aren't, significantly beyond that. You got to get close to that date that you're promising your customers, because they're giving you money and now you need to try and get it done. And so all of that is, all of that are things that are really important. And again, you can do it shadily. You can start promising things, and at the end of the day, you're nowhere close. You have no idea what you're doing, and you're just taking money for something that isn't done, and then you slap something together and throw it out there, and just to satisfy the people who gave you them. Yeah, I've seen that too. I've seen it both ways. The trick to all of this, and the kind of the common rule that you have to be willing to follow, is that you need to be honest throughout all this. You need to be truthful about all this, and just tell people, I'm in the middle of developing this. And what you should do throughout all this is that you should be having a lot of the concepts already predefined in your mind before you start selling. You should have the transformation that you're going to provide for them already defined. Okay, because here's one of the things. People aren't buying your course based on how many modules they're in there. People aren't buying your course based on your workbook and how attractive it is or unattractive it is, or what's actually on the content that's on the pages. People are buying your course because of the transformation that it offers. Okay. You will buy a course because you're like, I need help with that area of my life. I need to solve this problem. I need to do this, and I want to be able to do this. And your course is promising that you can help me do the very thing that I want. Fantastic. I want it. Why? Not because of how many modules, not because of how much of all this other stuff there is, not because of the platform it's on. It doesn't matter if it's on your website, or if it's on Kajabi, or if it's on Thinkific, if it's on Teachable. Nobody's buying because of those things. No matter how much those course creators try and make you think that the reason people are buying is because of their platform, no one is thinking about that. The only thing people are thinking about is, how is this going to transform my life? Is this going to make my life better? Is it going to give me the answer, the solution that I'm looking for? And if so, I want it. If it's a match, and again, this is an advantage of pre-selling, is that you can go out and pre-market and tell people this is the transformation that I'm looking to provide. And what happens sometimes is you realize is that you're about 85% dialed into what the market wants. And after you listen, after you talk to people, they're saying, well, yeah, I kind of want that, but what I really need is this. And so all of a sudden you realize, oh, I need to tweak this a little bit. I need to tweak the transformation that I'm going to be offering so that it's a little bit more like this. And again, it's not that you were off. It's not that you were missing significantly, but you realize this is really where they need the help. They're more needing help in this area than they are in that area. And so what we're going to do is we're going to tweak this a little bit, and we're going to rewrite the offer. We're going to rewrite, change the description of how the transformation is going to work. And it's going to cause me to shift a little bit before I create all the modules. And I'm going to be able to hit the target much more in the bullseye. Because if you hit the target and you're like on the outer rings of the target, yes, you hit it, but it's not dead center. And if you can dial it in, if after having these conversations, you dial it in, I'm like, okay, now I know exactly what it is that they need. I know exactly what it is that they want. I'm very much more clear on exactly what they're driving for, what they're after. I got it. I understand it. It's all in my head now. I got it. It's not a problem. I'm clear. I'm understanding all of these things. And your market is saying, yes, that's it. That's it. That's what we want. That's what we need help on. And you're going to have it all laid out. And then once you have all that laid out, once you have that super clear understanding, and people have shown the express desire to purchase, and again, incentivize them for it. Give them a reason to buy now, even though they know that they are not going to be watching any videos this afternoon. Even though they know that they won't be getting access to it for a while, you're going to, make them an offer they can refuse. You're going to do one of those where you go out there and you make it incredibly, normally this course is going to be $497. And because I'm offering it on the pre-launch special, you can get it for $247. You can get it for half price. So you get it for 50% off if you buy now. They're going to be like, wow, that's really cheap. That's an incredible deal. I'll do that. I'll buy it. And then, I trust you. And again, you have to have credibility to do this. If people look at it and go, I don't know if I trust this person. I don't know that they're really someone that has the ethics, that they have the morality to follow through. I don't know that they have the that they'll actually deliver on what it is that they promised. And as a result, I'm not sure I should do this. And so you have to have that. You have to have that credibility. You have to have that trustworthiness so that people will say yes. They will go down this path and they will go, yeah, I would do that. And then once you have those commitments, once you have that, and you now know, you have your message like figured out, okay, this is what they're asking for. This is what they want. This is what they need. Now you can start outlining the course more specifically. You can go through and you can create module by module what they need. Because again, creating a course ultimately is fairly simple. You start, point A is where is your target audience starting? Where are most of them today? If you could describe where they are today, and now you know what transformation they want to receive. What is the end goal? What is the target that they want to get to at the end? Now you know the starting point. Now you know the end point. Now you just have to create all the steps to go from A to B. It's very simple. It's like going on a trip. And you're going on a trip and you're like, okay, I know where I live. I know where my home base is. And I know where my destination is. And now I could type those two address points in the map and it'll tell me all the steps in the middle. It's the same thing for your course. So you just sit there and say, okay, now if I was the person who is in this place at the starting point, what would be the first thing that I would do? Okay, that's module 1. Then once I have that done, what would be the second thing that I would do? Okay, that's module 2. And how many modules should it be? Well, however many it needs to be to get to the end. It really is a matter of, and don't make them too hard or too long or too much. Just make them be what it needs to be to give them what they need to competently and easily get to the finish line. And so create them outline, put it all together, put all the pieces together, put all the make a clear pathway, which you can call your success pathway. It's like, here's where I started, here's where I ended, and here's the pathway to go from where you are to where you want to be. And that's your success journey. That's this journey that you're going to lead your members on to get the result that they want. And then as you're marketing it, create a very simple version of your offer. Create a very simple one. Because you don't have all the details as you're pre-selling, because you don't have all the details figured out yet, and you don't have everything built yet, create a very simplified version of your marketing materials. And just focus on the transformation, on the outcome, the thing that they're going to get at the end, because all the details haven't been worked out yet. So don't even worry about that. Just focus on the transformation, focus on the end result, and craft your messaging and your marketing around that. Put it all out there in such a way that people are going to be like, I get it. That's what I'm going to get. And the details will come later. Oh, great. But I believe you. I trust you. I know that you're an ethical person. I know you're not going to take my money and run, which is why you need to offer incentives for doing pre-sale launches, because there is always a risk. I mean, I will never forget when I was in college, we had this kid come to our dorm where we were living, and he was selling candy bars and for a school fundraiser. And I was like, really, should we be doing this? We don't know these people, but we did. And it was kind of like, everybody's like, help the kid out. Well, we all bought candy bars from him, and he was supposed to come back at whatever date and deliver the candy bars. Well, that was 30 plus years ago, and I'm still waiting for my candy bar. And so we all have had those moments, right? Where we pre-bought something and then the little turkey took off with the money and never came back. And so we've all had those moments. So you being ethical, you being truthful, if your reputation is one where you're not always ethical or not always truthful or honest or trustworthy, this is going to be hard for you. You have to have a reputation with people. They have to know that they can trust you. So yeah, even though they're getting a 50% discount, they don't want to get nothing for that 50%. Yes, they're giving you $250, but they want to know that you're actually going to do this, right? You're actually going to deliver it. And you need to tell them that, and give them if for any reason you're not satisfied, I'll give you 100% money back. You need to step up. And you need to be strong in your guarantees that they will receive it. Because trust, when you're pre-selling a course that doesn't yet exist, trust is a big factor in it. Trust is a big, big factor, because they look at you and go, I don't know if I trust this person. It doesn't matter how good your transformation is. It doesn't matter how powerful the outcome could be. If you aren't trusted to deliver it, there's no way that people are going to give you money. There's no way that people are going to, trust you, are going to buy from you, because they're like, I don't know that I believe he would actually deliver. I don't know that I would believe that this person would actually come through. So you have to have that. Trust has to be in there. Guarantees have to be in there. You have to have a lot of credibility. You have to be very honest and upright and lay it out there exactly what's going on, so that people understand it. You have to incentivize them. You have to give them something for acting now to give you the confidence to know that you're not going to create a course that, you're going to do all the work to create it and then no one's going to buy it. So then once we get to that point and you've gone out, you've got some sales, you've gone out and you got some things going and you're building it all out, you just keep marketing it as you're building. As you're starting to build, you got some initial sales. Great. Now keep marketing it. Build something, build a simple pre-launch funnel where you could collect email addresses. Maybe it's simply a page on your website that says, hey, I'm building out this course. If you would like to learn more, enter your name and email address and I'll keep you up to date. And then you can start email conversations with people and start doing things. You could do social media promotions. You could do live trainings, all sorts of different things to create excitement about what it is and make it very simple and get people signed up and get people going and get people committed so that that, hey, when this thing launches, I got cash in hand. And then that also builds momentum because people are going to see it as you get closer and closer to completion. And you have everything done and you're updating your listeners and saying, hey, we only have, we're almost done with the course. Everything's almost put together. It should only be 2 more weeks. So if you want to lock in at the pre-launch special price, you got to do it before we actually launch, because after that, the price is going back up to $497. And so then you can get a few more sales as people start to sense that, hey, I want to get it for 50% off. And now it's only 2 weeks away and they're almost done with everything. And they're communicating that all the modules are getting done and all the training's being put together and the workbook's out for design and it's all going to get put together and everything's almost done, so on and so forth. And you're communicating that seamlessly. You're communicating that clearly. And again, when you're going to do it this way, you have to be transparent. You have to be honest. You have to be upfront, because the one thing that'll cause people to get upset is you make a bunch of promises about this, and then your delivery is something very different. And you don't communicate with them. You don't tell them the why. You don't tell them the what's going on. You don't give them in there. And then they just feel like they were the fool and they got taken advantage of. And now they're going to start asking for refunds. Now they're going to start saying, yeah, I don't trust you anymore. I don't believe this is happening. And I want my money back. Just get me out of here. I don't want to do this anymore. And so people will do that. Communication will set the expectations. It will keep everyone on the same page. So communicate clearly and effectively so you can do that. And then when you do deliver it, and when you do finally launch it and issue it out to them and put everything out into the world, over deliver. Give them, if you told them that you were going to give them 5 things, give them 6 or 7. Give them bonuses that they weren't even expecting. Because now what you've done is you've taken people who showed faith in you. You've taken people who have believed in you, who trusted you, and you rewarded them for it. And now they went from maybe being a little skeptical and unsure to becoming your biggest fan, because you over-delivered. You went beyond what you promised. You gave them even more than what you said you were going to give them. And as a result, wow. Now they're just loving it because they got a great deal. You're giving them the help that they needed and what they asked for and more. So again, just to kind of wrap this up, this is something that pre-selling, again, is a little bit of it's a hot button in the coaching and course creator world, because it can be done shadily. People can sell things that don't exist, and then they don't do a good job, and they don't, you're buying hype is what you're buying, and it can be done unethically just to get people's money, and it can be done poorly, or it can be done as a way to validate your idea before you do all the work, because that is the potential risk of course creation, is that you do all the work, create the course, only to realize nobody really wanted that. Nobody was really willing to buy that. No one was really interested in purchasing that. And now you spend all those weeks doing all that work, putting all the course material together, only to realize, well, shoot, nobody actually wanted it. And that's what we're trying to avoid. That's the part of this that's trying to avoid. But to do this, again, we have to do it with ethics. We have to do it with integrity. We have to do this with honesty and trust, and do it in such a way that people at the end are going to be bigger fans of you than what they were at the beginning. And it's possible. You can do it. You can create something in such a way that at the end of the day, people are going to love you so much more, because A, you gave them a great deal, B, you delivered on the thing that you promised, and C, you gave them even more than that. And now they're going to be recommending you to other people, and you're going to be recommending that you need to get this. This is amazing. And you're going to get testimonials, and start capturing those testimonials. Start writing those things down. When you see people giving glowing reviews of what you gave them, because you did much more than was expected, and you were so much better than even was expected, now you have these glowing testimonials. You have these loving, loyal clients, and you have a business that's ready to start taking off and thriving. So that's really it for this episode. I hope you found this helpful. Again, pre-launching a course can be done ethically. It can be done with integrity, but you have to do it the right way. And hopefully you now have a good grasp of that based on this episode. If you do need help with any of this, always invite you to check out Design Launch Grow. This is what we do. We help people grow their online businesses, and we'd love to help you get yours off the ground and get launched and growing. Otherwise, I hope you have an amazing day, and we will talk to you again very soon.